Mother Rasha is here, and Mother Rasha is a wonderful symbol of love. And that's what the religion of love is all about. And every time she comes here to Florida, I try to snatch her over here to the studio and see if we can get some of the information that Mother Rasha is doing everywhere. And you are everywhere. I mean, I think you ought to be cloned, but you're cloned in a way because you have a lot of disciples.
Yes. And most of them I think are better than myself, so it works very well.
Yeah, but you, of course, are the spirit behind all this, and it's such a privilege for us to have you here, Mother Rasha.
God is the spirit behind all of this.
Well, and so he found you. However that happened, or
We
you found
each other.
And so I think the important thing is for us to make people aware of what you are doing to make the world better. And I know that I never can leave out Rajak. He's one of my very favorites, and he is, of course, your oldest and best disciple. I must say that. And he is someone, though, who understands everything that you do, and he kind of paves the way for what you want, doesn't he?
I'm like the visionary, and he's the one that manifests the vision into the world.
Yes. So something that people will find when they come to the June issue of Boomer Times is a festival of love. Why don't you tell everyone about that?
This is the first real thing we're doing in the West, because we've always been in the East, in India, Bangladesh, Nepal. And on the summer solstice, June 21st, it's called the Festival of Love. And that's what it is, as that's what we are. But it's going to be a real, as Hassan, who's organizing it, would say, a real rocking festival. We have 6 different bands, all different types of music, really, really good. We're giving free lunch. We're giving, as long as the food holds out. We have an art section, wonderful artists painting. They're going to be doing a huge mural. Artists did our poster. And the point is, everything has been donated. Everything is given to bring love, that everybody should have this feeling of community and love, which everybody is so hungry for these days.
And so what would your hopes be for this festival?
This is the first real introduction of the religion of love into the West, and everybody's going to get a free book, The Secret of Happiness, and that it introduces people to the idea of the religion of love, which is for all people, all religions, as God is for all people.
And Mother Rasha, I think at this time in our world, we all need this more than ever. When we see all the fighting on all the outbreaks all over the world, and I may be wrong, but I always think it has to come down to religion. I used to think it was money, but I don't think so.
It actually comes down to ignorance, is that people, we all want the same thing. We all want basically to be happy, and not just a temporary happiness, one that grows. And for that, it has to come to the spiritual. And for that, you have to have some knowledge. And unfortunately, though every religion was given as a religion of love, what has happened is mostly it's become corrupted. It's become about money. It's politics. The women are kicked out, so there's no feminine side to it. And therefore, we aren't getting the real message which gives us liberation from our suffering.
Yes, that's so well put, and that's one of the beautiful things about you. There are many beautiful things, but what you write, and we can go over the books in another time. We're going to have some more interviews, but I wanted to continue to do this and talk about where you first started this movement.
Well, of course, people always ask, is the religion of love a new religion? There's nothing new under the sun, as Ecclesiastics tells us. The ideas in this are the heart of all religion, which is love. And in fact, if you go to the Rig Veda, one of the oldest religious texts, it says there's only one religion. In the Quran, Allah is telling us that he sees us as all one family. and that we should not break down into sects. And we've broken everything down, and then we've made it very sectarian, where there's a lot of hate involved. Only we have the right way. So again, God is bringing this truth that unites all in love. What man has divided by hate, God is uniting in love. Every religion was given as a religion of love. So, and people, you're right, are hungry for it. We're tired of the corruption. We're tired of the fake. We're tired of the suffering. We are not meant to be suffering. We are spiritual souls, and the nature of the spiritual soul is blissful in a state of pure love.
And your feeling about all this and being able to share this with the world. Did you start out actually in Bangladesh, and why did you do it there?
Well, it was interesting because I was living in London, and I thought I would go to Africa. And I met this man because Bob Geldof had done that wonderful program for the poor, and I thought I would go there. And I was in Key West, and a friend said to me, "Are you crazy going alone? You will get eaten alive out there." He said, well, if you will go to Bangladesh, it's a very spiritual country and has great need of this. Start there, he said, and I will support you. And then a strange thing happened. He said, I have a contact for you who will take care of you and show you. And he speaks fluent Bengali. He knows the customs. And I was thinking about it, and then I went back to London. I was eating in a restaurant, and this man kept staring at me. And finally I went over and I said, introduced myself, and it was my contact for Bangladesh.
I never heard this story.
No,
oh,
true.
This is a beautiful story. So what happened?
Well, eventually I went to Bangladesh, and I thought it was going to be really terrible, because it's a very poor third world country. What I didn't expect was I got off the plane, I walked out into the city, and I fell in love. I just adored it, all the craziness and problems that are there. And so we began to work, and it's been so well accepted everywhere, even by people you wouldn't think. We had some men who were actually killers, and everybody was afraid of them. And they would come, and we'd sit up on the roof, and they would come and ask questions. And the one man, big man, had all these guns and everything, and people were afraid because they had a terrible reputation, and it was a true reputation. And one night he just started to cry, and he said, this is the real revolution. And they gave in their guns. They got an amnesty from the government. They became devotees of God.
Absolutely amazing. Well, who was the man who was the contact from Bangladesh?
Oh, I'm not in touch with him anymore.
But he led you to Bangladesh.
He took care of me when I was there and showed me around, and because I didn't know anything, how to go where, here, any place. So his name was Vyasaki.
And I guess I want to know how Rajak came into your life, because he, of course, is your
head story.
Yeah.
Because when Rajak was a young schoolboy of 15, he had a vision. In the middle of the day, he saw this woman in white. And then when he was 17, he knew the name, and it was my name. So when he met me, he said, I know who you are, and I've come to serve you. God has sent me to serve you. And I was having none of it, and he wanted to be a disciple. And for 2 years he asked, and I didn't want really to do that. It's a big responsibility. And I've seen so much of how so-called spiritual leaders have fallen down, have taken advantage. So I thought, no, I'm staying well away from that. But he was so good. Finally, I said, okay, one. I made an agreement with God. And then one night, we were asked to do a program, and I thought, well, a few people would be there. And I came, and there were like thousands. And I remember going to the field to pray and saying to God, I said one. And since then, it just grew and grew and grew.
And that really is a marvelous story. And of course, I know you have some of that in a beautiful book that was put out by you. It's a big hardbound book.
Oh, that's Rajak's book. He's a brilliant cinematographer, photographer. He does all our videos and things. He made the book. And Mother Teresa of Calcutta did the foreword.
I remember that. That
It's
was
a beautiful book.
And how did you meet her? When did you meet Mother? I always say Mother Rytasha. How did you meet Mother Teresa?
Well, we have a little school outside of Calcutta, so we were in Calcutta. And of course, Mother Teresa was an idol of both of ours, especially Rajak, as he's a master's degree social worker. So we just went and knocked on the door of her convent, and we met this lovely Sister Monica, lovely woman. The thing that people don't know about Mother Teresa is all her nuns are like her. They're so lovely. And we said we'd like to meet, and she arranged it. And that afternoon, I'm sitting on the bench, and out comes Mother Teresa, and she says to me, she says, "I know you." And I said, "No, we've never met." She said, "I know you." And so we talked, and she's so affectionate, and she's stroking my arm and talking, and I'm just enjoying the loving exchange. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh my goodness, this is Mother Teresa. I shouldn't take this time. And so I said, well, I have to go. And I start getting up, and she puts her hand on my head, and she said, "Sit." So he sat. And poor Rajak, I said to him, now, because usually I don't like being photographed, I said, but this is a photograph I would like. And it's got to be a good one. So the pressure is on. So he says to Mother Teresa, "Can I make some photographs?" She says, "One."
Really?
And
One.
we're in this narrow little place where he can't back up far enough to get the photograph. Anyway, somehow he made one, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I don't have that photograph. I know it's in the book,
it's in the
but
big
maybe
book.
I should take that photograph and use that in Boomer Time sometime, the photograph.
You're welcome.
That would be wonderful, and then we could have your story with it. That's very special because there are so many people who know Mother Teresa, and to put the two of you together is just lovely.
Oh, you're very welcome.
We will do that. So, in another interview that we're going to be doing, we're going to talk about all your books and everything that you've done. But maybe we ought to direct people to the website, because that's where they can learn so much about you.
Well, the website is www.thereligionoflove.net. And don't go to com. .net is the important thing. And all our books are there for free, because we feel spiritual knowledge should not be paid for. God gives it freely into the world, and we are just the via media to give it freely. So you can download them if you like paper, as I do, or you can read them as flip books on the website. The website has little biographies. It has videos. It has the social work that we do, because we don't only speak about love, we like to do it in a concrete form. So everything, and then you can go to our Facebook from there. The last thing on the bar is our Facebook. And you're welcome. And if you go to Facebook, please like it and share it. Share the love.
You know, I'm just laughing about this because Facebook has even reached you, which is fantastic. Hopefully you have heard about Mother Rasha, the Angel of Bengal, and if you haven't, by the time we finish with this interview, you'll know a little bit more about her. We're very fortunate she's here in the United States right now, because she usually is traveling all over the world, mostly in Bangladesh is where her institute is, and where she really started the whole movement. And so we want to find out, though, besides all the things that you will be hearing in different interviews, the Festival of Love and other things, one thing that I think really helped you get through to people in a different way were your books. It was very unusual that someone would come up with an idea to make these tiny little books that you could pass out so that people knew who you were. And I think they would trust you even more. There are people who maybe didn't know you, and all of a sudden you give them these books and they're reading it, and I would think they would say, because it's everything you believe in.
The books, there was a man who came to see us who had actually found a book. And what he said was so lovely. He said, when I read this book, it was as if my own heart was speaking to me.
That is beautiful.
So, and I think our own hearts all talk to us about love and purity and goodness and kindness. That's what we're really about and what we're really hungry to see in our lives. So the books touched a chord. It's the time.
A lot of people hide their feelings, and they're afraid to talk about the things that you say in the book because it will make them maybe look weak. But the way that you take the ideas of things and put them into such interesting words that people can, most of them are little stories, and then you bring out what you want to tell them, and then you use another story. And I once asked you how you get those stories.
Well, I steal them. Mostly the stories are floating around. People know I collect stories, so they tell them to me. There's a lot of stories that float around in the East that are classics, and that are what I call teaching stories. They make a point, and I think, especially if there's some humor, we remember them, and they inform us in a deeper way. I was just doing a program in the jail, so I told them a wonderful story.
I have to interrupt. They didn't take her to jail. She was a guest.
No. I was in, and I was also out. I wasn't permanent. Though once when we were traveling in the East, Rajak and we were touring around the bus, and the man said, "Oh, over there is a building you can go. You can stay for free. They feed you everything." And of course, my ears perked up. I thought, that's good. It turned out to be the city jail.
Okay, so you're here in Pompano Beach, staying here for a while, and you got the idea of going to a jail. How did that come about?
I always wanted to do something in the jail, and I tried, and it's very difficult to actually get into the jail, unless, of course, you do something, unless you're naughty. And to go in and to bring this message of love to the prisoners, it was very difficult. And I tried different ways, and I was discouraged, and I had to forget about it. I had asked God, and it didn't happen because God has His time, I have my time. And then a man came to one of my classes, and at the end he said, "Would you be interested in doing something in the jail?" And he arranged everything, and 1, 2, 3, we were there, and it was wonderful.
Well, because they all need love. I've always said that if people would really ask all the prisoners, let's say a great majority of them, what happened in your life, and most of them feel they never had love.
I think love is much rarer than we think, because we think of it often as an emotion, as a feeling, a romance. These things will come and they go. And you're a married lady, that you can adore your husband in the morning. In the afternoon, he annoys you. You're shaking your head. Yes, this is radio.
I know. Well, but I don't want to say that on radio. I don't even want to say,
all right.
Of course.
But
life does
to the
have,
listeners,
of course.
We know these feelings come and go. And we don't come and go. So when I talk about love, I'm talking about the ecstatic, eternal, spiritual state of being. And that's what we're all really hungry for, because that is a love that doesn't come, it doesn't go, it grows.
So when you went to I can picture this right now. Mother Rasha usually wears a beautiful white, I would say, is it a sari?
Yes.
It's a sari. And she has long black hair, and she has just an angelic face, and she's really, it's like purity when you see her. And so I can picture this. So they said, "Oh, we have a guest for you today." And in you walk.
Well, to tell the truth, I didn't know how I'd be received. Evidently, it can be quite rough. And
But excuse me, they put everyone in a big room?
yeah,
They're
in a room sitting on chairs. There were lots of guards around. The jail was immaculately clean, air conditioned. It was very, very nice.
This wasn't for hardened criminals.
No, they didn't put me in with the murderers and the psycho.
But you know, they could use you too, which is interesting, even though I don't want that to happen to you. But so many of them, you know, maybe, anyway, we don't have to go through that.
No,
but
these young men with me were lambs. They were so hungry for knowledge, and they had quite a bit of knowledge, and it was a wonderful experience. At the end, they were all shouting and clapping and stamping and saying, come back, and I will. When I come back, I'll be here in August. I'll definitely go back.
I'm very happy to hear that. Now, you said something about bringing your books there. What did you bring there?
I brought The Secret of Happiness. Anybody that wanted could have a copy.
And tell us about what's in The Secret of Happiness.
The Secret of Happiness is a very simple book. The first part of it deals with, does God answer our prayers? I think a lot of people wonder if God really answers our prayers, or are we just talking into the wind? And so I have to tell you, and it's very important that we all know this, God always answers our prayers. And then it has the story of the little girl who lives in the hottest country and sees a picture of snow and wants to have snow for her birthday because she thinks it's so beautiful. And she prays to God for the snow. And her mother, who's a little more worldly, says, God won't answer your prayers. Anyway, birthday comes. It's the hottest day of the year. And what do you think, Anita? Do you think it snowed?
I'm sure if it were a part of what you were doing, it snowed.
Well, no, come on. It's tropical.
No, I understand.
It did not snow.
Okay.
And the mother said, you see, God doesn't answer your prayer. And the little girl said, oh, yes, God answered my prayer. God said no.
Very good.
So sometimes we ask for things, and God knows what is in our own benefit, better than we do sometimes. So we don't always get what we ask for. And sometimes later on we may be very thankful we didn't go down that road. But our prayers are always answered. And then talks about prayer, and all prayers, basically, we all want the same thing. We want happiness. Very often when I'm doing a program, there's a big audience, I'll go and I'll ask for money, which of course then people start thinking, she's one of those. And I'll get a bill and I'll say, what is this dirty piece of paper with an old dead guy on it? Is this really what we're killing ourselves to get a hold of? No, it's what we think. Happiness will come from having a lot of these pieces of paper. So basically we're all after the same thing, happiness. The alcoholic, the drug addicted, the thief, the saint, we're all looking for the same thing because that is our nature, to have this ecstatic, eternal happiness. And where are we going to find it? And the book tells us another story about the thief and the rich man, and how the thief wants to steal the gold box of the rich man. The rich man goes up to his room and comes down without it, and the thief gets into the room and tries to can't find it. And this goes on week after week. And finally, when they're leaving, the thief says to the rich man, I have to admit I'm a thief, but I looked everywhere in your room for the gold box and all the money, couldn't find it. And he says, where did you hide it? I'm so frustrated. The rich man says, I figured out you were a thief, so I hid it where you'd never look. And the thief says, where? The rich man says, I hid it in your room. So everything we're looking...
Oh, that is so beautiful. I don't remember that. And I've read so many of them. Yes, I'm holding this little booklet in my hand now. That is beautiful.
Everything we are looking for, that happiness, is already inside us. And how we access it in a very simple way is just associating with God by calling his holy name. All the names of God are good. And when we do that, we become purified, and our pure selves are blissful. Nothing we have to put in or learn. We just have to take off all the causes of our suffering. So this method, all the religious methods are doing the same thing. I just like the calling of the holy name of God because it's the simplest. And that's where your happiness will lie. Your spiritual, eternal, ecstatic happiness.
So, Mother Rasha, that is really pure gold, actually, the story. tell me again, and tell our listening audience, how do you know these stories?
I really don't know. When I do a book, or when a book comes to me, it's like I watch the film of the book and I see the whole book, and then I write it down. And I said I collect stories. So the stories, I like to illustrate the point, because I think we love stories and we remember stories. And
But that was a perfect story. I knew that. I thought he was going to say I'm going to give it to you now, something like that, because I knew that it had to be.
You wish.
Yeah, you wish. But that really does make the point, doesn't it? And that's what your stories do.
Yeah, because people look outside themselves for that happiness, that peace of mind. We look,
everywhere
in other people, in other things, and we're taught that we can find things, if we get rich enough, if we get the woman or the man of our dreams, if we get the house we want, we'll be happy. And yes, we will be, but it's short-lived.
As you said before, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but to have pure happiness,
you must go to the spiritual, and all of that is inside yourself.
So when we see people, and let's go back to Bangladesh a minute, we see little children living in the streets with, little food, little clothing. What's keeping them going?
Actually, the London School of Economics did a survey of who were the happiest people in the world. And it was not the wealthy people. It was the poor. The poorest of the poor in Bangladesh were considered the happiest. And we see them in the slums playing with a little piece of paper they've made into a kite, or a little wheel thing that they're running with a stick. They're not unhappy.
But something that you have seen, and which isn't a matter of being happy, but being without disease. And you have seen many people in the world, as a matter of fact, who are sick and they need help. And so in your small way, you have tried to bring some of that help to them, haven't you?
Well, we have our Food Relief International, which is our charity, and our director, Rajak Khan, who is a master's degree social worker, runs everything. And because we may be spiritual beings, but we inhabit material bodies. And you have to keep the balance. That's why if it's all material, it's like cleaning the cage and letting the bird inside die. So you keep that balance. You have to take care of the material. A man once asked me, I was giving a class, and he said, "Oh, when did you give up material life?" And I said to him, "Am I standing here naked?" Nobody gives up material life as long as we're in the body. But we can't forget who we truly are eternally, that spiritual being. So both must be fed and nurtured and taken care of. So we try to do that.
Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to continue another time with some more of your valuable philosophy, which I think people who are sitting alone at home, perhaps listening, you are really encouraging them to look much deeper than they had maybe thought they had to do.
And we're never alone. God is always with us.
Mother Rasha, we are going to continue with a series that we do whenever Mother Rasha comes here to Pompano Beach. She travels all over the world. She has had a splendid route of cruises, as a matter of fact. I'm going to stop and talk about that a little bit. For a long time, you did not do that. Now, all of a sudden, you and Rajak Khan, your chief disciple, decided that cruising is the way to go. So tell us about that.
Well, it's a lovely way to visit many countries and distribute the message. Plus, it's just a lovely experience for health. A doctor had told me, and Rajak was with me, that my problem with my eyes was exhaustion. And after that, Rajak decided that every year we would take a break, because I never feel tired. And I said, "I'm not tired." He said, "Yes, your body is overtired." So Rajak is actually taking me on the cruise. Last year we went to the Baltic countries. We did all the Baltic countries. We met the most lovely people. We distributed the message in books. And it's funny. I must tell this on Rajak. First, I wanted to go to the Bahamas, just as a weekend cruise from Florida. And he said, what if it's a hurricane? And he said, we're vegetarian. There'll be nothing to eat. Well, anyone that's cruised would laugh because there's so much to eat. And we liked it so much that we go. In fact, this year we're going to Alaska.
And it is the irony of this is here are passengers not expecting anyone like you on the ship. And do you wind up having lectures with them?
No, but we meet people that are very interesting and very interested in what we do and in the religion of love. And we met some wonderful people from Peru who want us to come down to Peru and do work with them there. And the man was just fascinated, and we're in touch with them.
And I think that happens everywhere you go. I mean,
it does. People are
that.
hungry for this. And what's so nice about this is it's inclusive. It includes every religion. People ask, do we convert? And we say, why would we convert from one religion of God to another religion of God? We do convert. We convert hearts to love. That is our mission.
Have you specific examples of people who, because they've met you, have changed their life? I've never asked you this before.
Yes, many of the disciples have changed their lives. I think I can give Rajak Khan, who is here today with us. He had a very good, prestigious job. He's a social worker with a master's degree, highly educated man, highly successful car driver, the whole thing. He gave everything up. And it's just a story. We went to New York, and the Cathedral of St. John the Divine wanted our books for the bookstore. And I had misjudged. So not only were we in New York, but it was freezing cold, and we had no warm clothing. Plus, Rajak is a big, healthy man, and he likes to eat. And he likes to eat his own cultural food, which there wasn't where we were. So at this morning, I think he'd had a slice of pizza. He was not. This man is a wonderful man, but at this point, he's not in a good mood. He's carrying this huge, heavy box of books. And we get up to the church, and we're waiting for the person who runs the bookstore. And he's in a very bad mood. And he says to me, look, he said, I had all these things, and I've given up everything. And he said, what am I now? He said, I'm a donkey. And I said to him, yes, but you're God's donkey.
That was so special. See, that's what you really are so good at. You can take an example of life, something simple, and there's humor in it, but there's really good, heartfelt examples, and that's really a talent that you have.
Well, I must say I am absolutely blessed by the people like yourself, like Rajak, that I have around to support me, because we all know life has its trials and tribulations. We get tested. The Quran says life is a test and a trial. All happiness lies with God. So I think the trick is to make it fun and funny.
And to always keep the value system. The value system is extremely important, and you bring that up so much. And that's why I wanted to talk a little bit about the books that you do for the children, because although the children seem happy, they still do need to have some examples to see things, because one book that I don't remember the name of it, but it was really special, where some of your disciples act out the book, and where people do have certain let's say cultural differences, or the way that they look is different, and they then can be very mean to that other person.
Well, you are talking about Little Blue Monkey.
Little Blue Monkey is my favorite.
The books are all animals, and they all have a teaching lesson, and the animals in this lesson teach not to hate somebody because they're different. And the monkey is a fabulous dancer and very social. He gives these wonderful parties. And he happens to be blue, which is unusual. The bear becomes jealous of Monkey, because Monkey's much more... Before Monkey came to the jungle, bear was the big popular one. Becomes jealous, and he wants to ruin the monkey's party. And the story goes that eventually the bear does see that he's made a mistake, and he reforms, and he's sorry, and he begs the monkey's forgiveness. And the monkey, who's a great dancer, teaches bear to dance. It's so sweet. The thing is, it was written as a little story, and then the children can color in the little book. Some of the disciples decided to make a play. Now, with the plays, we always give a little treat, a little cookie. And this came out of the idea of Judaism, that when the child first goes to learn the alphabet, the Aleph, that is coated with honey, so the child connects sweetness with learning. So we give a little sweet, and they of course the animals play, and it's very interactive with the children. In fact, if you go to our website, the children's program is on it. What was interesting to me, I thought we were teaching the children these values. What we saw, what we found out, were the children already know these values. We were just strengthening them in there. And they're so sweet. This is very young children. Later they get conditioned in the ways of the world. But the young children, when the bear was being mean to the monkey, they were shouting, "No, bad bear, bad bear." And when the bear asked forgiveness and said he was sorry, they all started hugging bear. So what was interesting is the children know what is right. We're not teaching them, but we're telling them, yes, you are right. Go with the good.
I think the instinct is what you were saying, and it's true. So many people have the right instinct, but through life, they can be waved away.
Well, Rajak was talking to me the other night about what is our idea of success. And that my favorite story is about the man who is in heaven, and it's very peaceful and quiet. He's sitting on the pink cloud. And down below, he sees what looks like a fabulous party going on. Gorgeous women, handsome men, eating, drinking, music, everybody enjoying like anything. And he goes to the angel. He says, "What's down there?" "Oh," says the angel, "way down there, that's hell." "I'd like to go," says the man. The angel says, "Well, we have free will. If that's where you want to go, I'll take you." So they get in the elevator, and they go down, down, down through all the worlds. And finally, at the very bottom, the doors open, and the man sees a horrible sight, suffering and burning and torturing. He says, "Oh my," he said, "what is that?" And the angel said, "That's hell." Now the man is confused. He said, "Well, what was that I saw?" "Oh," says the angel, "that was the publicity campaign."
Oh my goodness.
So in this world, we have a very powerful publicity campaign for what will be our benefit, what is our goals, what is our success. And most people are conditioned to this, and they end up in a hellish condition.
Oh, what a story. This is new. I'm hearing a lot of new things I haven't heard about. What I want to do is take a minute here and tell everybody, if you would like to contribute, and you should know that the money that goes to this organization goes to help Mother Rasha and all of her disciples make a difference, just as she's doing now. But the way to get there is the website, which is the religionoflove.net. The religionoflove.net, and there's a way for you to donate. And you can
I should explain why
do that?
This charity is a little different. I saw that most charities spend a lot of money, frankly, on themselves. Their offices are in the best part of town. They have cars. They pay salaries. I don't take a salary. My idea was that the money should go to the work, to the poor. We don't have cars. We don't have offices. The money goes there. Our expenses are minimal. And it's worked since '84, and we've had huge success. And if you go to the religionoflove.net and look at the charity base, and I have to give all credit to Rajak Khan because he is the international director, and he runs everything and makes everything happen with ridiculous budget. To give an example, we did an eye camp where we do everything is free. We had 10,000 patients. That means 20,000 people come because the blind need somebody to lead them and help them. Rajak was able to feed all 20,000 a nourishing meal. Everybody saw doctors. All the patients saw doctors, and everybody got medicine. Over 100 operations were done successfully. This was all done for $5,000. This is what you can do if you just don't spend anything on yourselves.
Those eye camps are amazing. And I was going to ask you, so I know in some of the pictures that you've had on your website, and you see these people with the bandaged eyes, how did they hear about that there's going to even be an eye camp, and what are some of their problems with their eyes?
We specialize in cataract surgeries, though the doctors treat every kind of surgery, but the surgeries are cataract. How they hear about it is when we pick a village, Rajak Khan picks a village, the poorest of the poor, where nobody has gotten any help and nobody is able to get any help because they're too poor. And then he does what is called miking. A man goes out with a megaphone on a little car, on a bicycle even, and announces it, plus thousands of flyers are distributed all over the area. And then on that day, thousands turn up.
And where do you get the doctors?
We use the local doctor, because even though doctor friends of mine have said I'd love to contribute, I then thought, do you speak Bengali? Do you speak the language? And can you relate? Also, mostly we live in the camps, which is very rugged. So, like, I've often slept on a bench. And I think most Western doctors would not want that. And we work with little money, so we don't afford their airfare or hotels or things like that. So the local people are used to the ways. They speak the language, they know the culture. And there's some excellent doctors there.
Well, Mother Rasha, those doctors, though, are not then taking care of the patients without your having to do this. That's where my confusion is. It took you to come and to offer this rather than these doctors doing the same thing, but on a one-to-one basis.
These people, well, they do, but the people we treat could never afford to even go to a doctor or have the operation. We deal all our dealings, whether it's our schools, our eye camps, are for the very poorest of the poor. It's out of the question for them to have any help. We had a man come in, big man, and his little aged mother, tiny little woman, brought him in. She said, I'm very old. How long can I take care of him? And she spoke to Rajak, and she said, if you can do anything. Luckily, it was fine, and he got his eyesight. And he said, the next day, he said, yesterday I lived in darkness. Today I saw the sunrise.
Well, that's why we have you on the show, and we're going to see some more sunrise in our next series. Everyone just keep listening. We'll be playing Mother Rasha's shows on and off.